Academic research has well documented that good networkers negotiate higher entry salaries, have better performance evaluations, and also they're promoted faster. So there is a lot of evidence saying that networking really does make a difference. Now, what we were after in our study was to see, well, do people really all network in the same way, or are there different strategies how people can network? And also, well, what are the outcomes of these strategies? And what, well, if people perhaps know it's important, but they don't really like to network?
You've obviously looked at how people network. Have you been able to identify clear strategies?
Actually, we did find 3 different strategies how to network. The first one would be the game players, the second one the trade-off makers, and last but not least what we call the low keys. Now, the game players are kind of master networkers, if you want. So for them, networking seems to be a way of life. And as a consequence of this kind of networking with everybody, whatever they do, they have by far the biggest network and also the highest number of external contacts. On top of that, they forge strategic relationship with some of their peers to develop their career. Now, when you ask, well, one of these game players for what they do, a typical citation would be, well, last month I attended 5 Christmas parties and 3 of them were on the same evening.
So there must be people who just don't want to be going to 3 parties on the same night.
Indeed, and the 2 other groups don't. So the trade-off makers clearly see, well, they have to juggle and they have to set priorities doing this. So in a professional service firm context, they either concentrate more on, say, the internal networking with partners or forging strategic relationships with couple of key clients, so more the external networking. Of course, you need some baseline activity on both, but we clearly see differences in the emphasis. Now, for example, one of the trade-off makers going more the client focus networking strategy, he would tell me, you know, I'm quite young, mid-30s, it's not easy to kind of get close to my clients, CEOs, CFOs who are at least mid-40s, often mid-50s. So what I try to do is to get close to their personal assistant and to learn everything about, well, their likes and dislikes. And if I come to know that one of these CFOs likes to go jogging at 5 a.m. in the English garden, well, guess who would be jogging at 5 a.m. in the English garden?
And there have to be those that just hate all this.
These are the low keys. It's not that they hate networking completely, but yes, they have a much more critical point of view of this. So in terms of how they network is, they have much more small world approach. They're very comfortable in their small world of the team, and they develop their team, spend a lot of time with the team, knowing that the team is also crucial to get their job done well. Now, when you probe them about networking, they know it's important, but they don't like a sense of falseness or even sometimes hypocrisy that they refer to when it comes to networking. So for them, it's not to collect a maximum of business cards in an evening.
So is it clear that employers are always going to go for the game players first?
Yes, employers are very keen on getting these kind of game player master networkers on board. Now, having said that, I would add a word of caution here. You remember, the more the merrier approach that they have means they have an extensive network of a lot of external contacts. So these kind of master networkers may very early on see that the grass is greener elsewhere and jump ship. So they may not be the most loyal, and definitely they will spot a lot of opportunities very early on. Now, when it comes to the 2 other groups, they can definitely also make it to the top. So in our study, we had people from all 3 categories eventually making partner. Now, what is true is the game players do get there earlier. So on average, 12 to 18 months before the other groups. So that does make a difference. And also, some research seems to indicate that in terms of how they get there, in terms of the trip they take, Well, if you're a game player, they have much higher social integration scores with clients, but also internally. So it seems to indicate they enjoy this ride to the top much more than the two other groups.